You might have heard the news about exploding pagers in Lebanon from Hezbollah, some kind of Israeli conflict going on in the Middle East right now. Today, there's reports of radios exploding, and it looks like they're Icom radios, but I think they're fake Icom radios. Check this out. This was sent to me by 2 or 3 of you. A couple guys on Discord sent this to me. I got an email from one person as well. I read about this pager explosion situation yesterday, kind of gave it a quick glance, didn't read too deep into it. But today, it's several different sources are saying that Hezbollah devices explode again in Lebanon, raising fears of wider Israeli conflict. And what we're seeing here, the summary of this news article, and I'll link all this in the description below. Walkie-talkies explode in latest attack. Hezbollah rattled by blasts. 14 people killed and 450 injured. Lebanon Health Ministry says. Israel's Mossad has a long history of sophisticated attacks. So this is from Reuters.com, and it says in Beirut, handheld radios used by Lebanese armed group Hezbollah detonated on Wednesday across Lebanon's south border, I think that means, further stoking tensions with Israel a day after similar explosions hit the group's pagers. So we're going to bring the walkie-talkie thing into light here in a minute. On Wednesday in Beirut's suburbs and the Bekaa Valley, while the death toll from Tuesday's explosions rose to 12, including 2 children, nearly 3,000 injured. That's sad to hear. All right, down here it says, Lebanon's Red Cross said on X, on Twitter, that it was responding. I've got a couple of Twitter pictures here in a minute, too. With 30 ambulance teams to multiple explosions in different areas, including south of Lebanon and the Bekaa Valley. Images of the exploded walkie-talkies showed labels from Icom and Made in Japan. According to its website, Icom, which did not immediately reply to a request for comment, is a Japanese-based radio communications and telephone company. Yes, we all know this. These guys aren't abreast of Icom. They're not updated on Icom. And let me make something very, very clear here. This is not the responsibility of Icom. Icom is not responsible for what happened here any more than a gun manufacturer would be responsible for someone taking their manufactured item and going out and committing a crime with it. Icom is not responsible for this. It's not what I'm saying, okay? I just want to make that very clear. All right, it's just a news story about Icom radios and exploding walkie-talkies that several of you sent me, like I said a minute ago, so I wanted to make a video about it because it deals with our part of the world. The company said that the production of the model ICV82, which appeared to be the models in the images, was phased out in 2014. The handheld radios were purchased by Hezbollah 5 months ago, around the same time as the pagers. The exploding pagers that they were talking about in the news yesterday. I didn't read much about that story. I probably should have. Pagers is kind of like in our wheelhouse, not really, but a little bit. Scroll down here. In Tuesday's explosion, sources said that Israeli spies remotely detonated explosives they planted in a Hezbollah order of 5,000 pagers before they entered the country. The United Nations Security Council will meet on Friday over the pager blasts. Okay, let's see. So we go over here to X and Twitter. This is Jody, VE3SAR, sent this to me, this link to me here. Breaking Hezbollah walkie-talkie explode at funeral in Lebanon. Ooh, a funeral. I didn't realize it was at a funeral. That's sad. And I'm turning the sound back on for a second, and it just kind of sounds like a pop. Boom, you can see the smoke over on the right. People start screaming and running. Okay. I don't want to show too much more of that. So back to this post from X, or Twitter, as I still call it, Twitter. Blast occurs during the funeral of 4 Hezbollah operatives killed in last night's explosions. And it shows a picture here, and you can see that it says Icom on that label right there. It's not a very good picture, not very close up, but it definitely says Icom. Now, something I was also sent later is that these were possibly fake Icom radios. Another source on Twitter, or X right here, reports from Lebanon confirm communications devices used by Hezbollah exploded in the country's south in Beirut suburbs. One of the blasts occurred near a funeral for members killed in a previous incident. Thousands of pagers detonated. I think that was yesterday. Right there. There's a picture of an actual exploded radio. Okay. Can't really see the Icom name on that. And this article right here on MSN.com, not MSNBC, MSN.com right here. What are the Icom ICV82 radios exploding in Lebanon? ? Shows some pictures there. Radios manufactured by Japanese firm Icom reportedly were among the devices exploding in Lebanon on Wednesday, according to reports first shared in the Jerusalem Post by Bernie News and then confirmed by the New York Times journalist Christian Tribert over social media. So, reportedly were among the devices, according to this article. Not necessarily all of the devices were Icoms. These radios follow the wave of pagers that exploded in Lebanon and parts of Syria on Tuesday. That was yesterday at the time of this recording, wounding over 1,000 people, especially members of Hezbollah. While these attacks were attributed to Israel by Lebanese figures and foreign reports, the Jewish state has not confirmed its involvement. At the time of this writing, hundreds of people were already reported wounded due to these latest explosions. But what are the radios that allegedly exploded in Lebanon? Here's what you need to know. Okay, this is an article actually about the radio. I will put this link along with everything that I talk about today in the description below. You guys can go read more about that because I'm not reading the whole thing. The radios being blown up are reportedly the ICV-82 radios manufactured by Icom. This is a VHF transceiver and is typically used for ham radio communication, meaning it is typically used for amateurs who use it for fun or personal interest rather than for commercial or emergency broadcasting. Sort of yes, sort of no. We're definitely not commercial operators, but we do MCOM a lot of, at least in this part of the world we do. I don't know if they use amateur radio for MCOM over in the Middle East, in Lebanon, and Israel. I don't know. I don't know. If someone has information about actual amateur radio MCOM in that part of the world, please do comment below. However, the ICV-82 is a discontinued model, with Icom having issued a warning on how to spot counterfeits. Okay, there we go. So I got a counterfeit page. I'm going to show you here in just a second. In the warning leaflet, the company warned that these products have been discontinued for a long time and said that the counterfeit models have a risk of battery exploding. Okay, now we're back to the Samsung Galaxy battery explosion that they disallowed on airplanes because it caused problems on airplanes here a while back. What was that, the S14? Galaxy S14 or somewhere around that? Somewhere around that model. I don't remember exactly. I never had one of those, but that was a thing a while back. Are the batteries exploding? The batteries were also credited to being what exploded in the pagers throughout Lebanon on Tuesday. On social media, Tribert reported that several other devices exploded throughout Lebanon, including solar energy cells. It is currently unclear if this is related to the batteries as well. The Jerusalem Post reached out to Icom for comment, but I don't. But that's where the story ends. No official word from Icom at the time of this recording. Again, okay, I want to make something perfectly clear. It looks like they're using counterfeit Icoms because they're talking about the ICV-82, which they said they bought them 5 months ago. Well, you can buy used radios all the time, right? Okay. I've never owned an ICV-82, but it is a discontinued VHF-only monoband. And then right here, that's a story. Countermeasures, this is on Icom, icomjapan.com. Countermeasures against counterfeit products. You can see several different examples here of how you can spot a counterfeit. QR code genuineness determination system, and it tells you a little bit about that. Scan the QR code. What should you do? What should you do if you find a counterfeit Icom products or counterfeit website? If you suspect that you've been offered to purchase counterfeit Icom product, contact your local distributor or directly contact us. export@icom.co.jp. A list of authorized distributors is here. Okay, so that's how you spot a counterfeit. You guys have probably seen, as I have, there's a lot of counterfeiting of, I've seen copied Yaesu radios on like AliExpress and Alibaba. I was talking just yesterday to somebody, I can't remember even who that was, but they were talking about Vaesu radios. They were Yaesu counterfeits, but they were spelled with a V instead of a Y. V-A-E-S-U. And at first glance, you're like, oh, that's a Yaesu. But then you look a little bit closer at it. It's like, that's not a Yaesu. It's misspelled. Why'd they misspell their own logo? It's not really a Yaesu. So there's a lot of counterfeit Icom products out there. Well, wouldn't you know it? About 2 to 3 hours after I recorded the first part of this video that you just watched, new article came out, okay? And I wanted to include this because this is important information. This is from apnews.com. This is a pretty long article right here, but down here towards kind of the middle, what kinds of devices were used. And then shortly down here, like after that header, it's like the third paragraph. Speculation around the origins of the devices that exploded Wednesday has also emerged. A sales executive from the U.S. subsidiary of a Japanese walkie-talkie maker, Icom, told the Associated Press that the exploded radio devices in Lebanon appeared to be a knockoff product and not made by them. I can guarantee you that
They were not our products, said Ray Novak, a senior sales manager for Icom's amateur radio division, in an interview Wednesday at a trade show in Providence, Rhode Island. Okay, good job, Ray. Novak said Icom introduced the V82 model more than 2 decades ago. Wow, I didn't realize it was that old. And it has been long since discontinued. Yeah, the last article we just read said it was discontinued in 2014. That was 10 years ago. It was designed for amateur radio operators and for in use in social emergency communications, including by people tracking tornadoes and hurricanes, he said. Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's one thing that Icom and many, many ham radios are designed for and used for today. It's great to hear from Icom. It's great to hear from Ray on that. But I maintain, what difference does it make? And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm saying even if Icom radios had been used for this event, Icom is not responsible. So, yeah, they use some old knockoff radios that are copies of radios that have been discontinued for more than 10 years, okay. But even if they'd been Icom radios, I still don't think my stance on the story would change. I just want to say that this is a tragedy. It is, you don't like to hear stuff like this. You don't like to hear about companies that you know and respect, companies that you have been involved with. I mean, companies whose products you've used for a long, long time. You don't like to hear about them being in news in this kind of bad light. But I just want to reiterate once more, okay, Icom's not responsible for this, especially even if it was a currently in production model, okay? I wouldn't be like, oh, Icom needs, oh my God, what are you doing? No. The Gaza Strip, the whole Free Palestine thing, I've read a little bit about that, but I haven't really, I am not well versed in it, so I'm going to refrain from saying because I would probably say it wrong. Okay, this is not a political channel. I'm not really trying to talk about politics or about geopolitical conflicts or about Middle Eastern or Israeli wars that go on over there. I mean, I'm simply talking about this because Icom was part of this story, and Icom is one of the radio manufacturers that we all know and love. And if it had been another radio manufacturer, I'm kind of surprised they didn't have any Baofangs. How many times have you seen those military guys on the news, and they've got like probably a $10,000 or a $15,000 rifle set up, and they got a $25 Baofeng in their pocket? I mean, I'm kind of surprised it wasn't Baofeng in there, quite frankly. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like they chose some radios that were discontinued, that were probably cheaper and easier to get a hold of, something that was maybe on a certain frequency they wanted to be on, that maybe they didn't want all the Baofeng guys listening to them. I don't know what it is. But sad news about that. I'm sorry that it was Icom that had to be involved in that. I wouldn't wish that on anybody else, but it was a story that was sent to me by several of you guys, and I appreciate those of you who did report it to me. Thanks for watching today, guys.